Every night, while you sleep, your body runs a graveyard shift. A repair crew clocks in, sweeping up damaged cells, patching gut lining, clearing out cellular debris. This crew works undisturbed until one moment, the second you eat breakfast. That's when the day shift clocks in, floods the factory floor with glucose, and sends the graveyard crew home mid-task. Skip breakfast, and something strange happens. The graveyard shift doesn't go home. It keeps working. Today we're tracking exactly what happens inside your body when you make that skip a daily habit, day by day, for 30 days, so you understand whether that morning hunger is a warning sign or just an old alarm clock that never got reset. Before we start the clock, a quick reality check. The idea that breakfast is the most important meal of the day wasn't handed down by biology, it was handed down by marketing, popularized decades ago by cereal companies who needed you to eat their product before noon. Your body never signed that contract. It doesn't care what time your first bite happens, it only cares about the total signal it gets across 24 hours. So let's look at what that signal actually does, hour by hour, day by day, and by the end, you'll understand why the hardest part of this isn't your biology at all, it's the habit sitting on top of it. Day 1. The first morning you skip, your body isn't confused, it's prepared. Hours before you even open your eyes, a hormone called cortisol has already been rising, part of what's known as the cortisol awakening response. Its job is to nudge your liver into releasing stored sugar, glycogen, so you have fuel before you've eaten a single bite. This is why you can function, think, even work out on an empty stomach. The hunger you feel around your old breakfast time isn't your body running out of fuel. It's ghrelin, the hunger hormone, firing on a schedule. Ghrelin doesn't just respond to empty energy stores, it responds to habit. If you've eaten breakfast at 8 a.m. for the last 5 years, your ghrelin has learned to spike at 8 a.m., whether or not you actually need the calories. That gnawing feeling is a trained response, not a starvation alarm. Meanwhile, leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you're full and safe, is still elevated from last night's dinner. 2 hormones, one telling you to panic, one telling you you're fine. On day 1, the panic usually wins the argument. Day 3. This is usually where people quit, and it's the same wall the graveyard crew hits every time the day shift gets delayed. Your glycogen reserves, the easy cash your liver keeps on hand, are being tapped a little earlier each morning. Ghrelin is still spiking at the old time, but its peak has started to soften, just slightly. Your body is beginning to notice the pattern has changed. Underneath the discomfort, insulin, the hormone that locks fat inside your fat cells, is staying low for longer each morning. A low insulin morning is the only kind of morning where your body is allowed to unlock fat for fuel. There's a bonus hiding here too, something researchers call the second meal effect. A delayed, stable first meal doesn't just behave well on its own, it trains your blood sugar response to your next meal as well. So lunch stops spiking you the way breakfast used to. Every day you skip, you're handing the graveyard crew a longer, uninterrupted shift. Day 7. By the end of week 1, your fasting window, the stretch between last night's dinner and today's lunch, has quietly grown to 14 or 15 hours. You didn't do anything extreme. You just stopped interrupting the shift halfway through. This is the same window researchers studying time-restricted eating point to when they talk about improved insulin sensitivity. Your cells are getting better at listening when insulin does show up, which means less of what you eat gets shoved into storage and more of it gets used. Morning fat burning, which used to switch on for maybe an hour before breakfast interrupted it, now runs uninterrupted for most of your waking morning. Your resting heart rate and blood pressure, for many people, start to ease slightly too, a side effect of a system that isn't managing a fresh insulin spike before 9 a.m. Day 14. This is where the graveyard shift starts finishing real work. Once your body has gone long enough without new material coming in, it activates autophagy, a process where cells identify their own damaged parts, break them down, and recycle them into fresh material. Skipping breakfast alone won't push you as deep into autophagy as a full-day fast would, but doing it every single morning means you're taking small, repeated trips into that zone, day after day, instead of never going there at all. This is also around when people report the fog lifting. Your brain, deprived of a fresh glucose hit right at 8 a.m., leans slightly more on ketones and stored fuel, and ketones burn cleaner than glucose does. There's a second layer here that almost nobody mentions. Extended morning fasting nudges up a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which acts like fertilizer for your neurons. Less metabolic exhaust and a small BDNF boost together mean a clearer head through your first meetings of the day, not a hungrier one. Day 21. Your hormones start behaving like they finally trust the schedule. Growth hormone, which spikes during low insulin states, gets a small daily boost during that extended morning window, and human growth hormone helps preserve muscle, while the body pulls energy from fat instead. Cortisol, instead of spiking erratically every time you eat something sugary and crash 2 hours later, settles into a smoother curve, high in the early morning to wake you up, tapering as the day goes on, the way it's actually designed to behave. Your blood sugar, no longer getting jolted awake by a bowl of cereal, stops swinging as hard between meals. Quick myth check while we're here. Skipping one meal does not drop you into starvation mode. Resting metabolic rate doesn't measurably fall until you're going without any food for multiple full days, not one skipped breakfast. And no, you won't automatically overeat at lunch to compensate. A stable ghrelin rhythm tends to curb afternoon snacking more than it triggers a revenge binge. Day 30. 30 mornings in, you are not the same person who dreaded that 10 a.m. stomach growl. Your ghrelin has renegotiated its contract. It now spikes closer to your actual first meal instead of an arbitrary clock time. Your fasting insulin is lower. Your morning mental fog, the thing you used to fix with a granola bar, is mostly gone, replaced by a steadier kind of clear-headed hunger that doesn't feel urgent. Your relationship with food itself has quietly shifted too. Meals start to feel like something you choose instead of something a clock demands from you. The graveyard crew has had 30 straight shifts of uninterrupted overtime. You're not running on empty. You're running lean. None of this works if you do it carelessly. So here's the actual protocol. Step 1. Don't quit cold on day 1 if you're currently a big breakfast person. Push it back by an hour for a few days. Then 2. Then let it slide into lunch. Jumping straight to a 16-hour gap after years of eating at 7 a.m. is how people end up quitting by 10 a.m., starving and irritable, and blaming the method instead of the pace. Step 2. Protect your water and your electrolytes during the fasting window. Black coffee, plain tea, and water are fine. Sugar and cream are not. They wake insulin up and end the fast early. A small pinch of salt in your water prevents the mid-morning headache most beginners blame on hunger when it's actually sodium. Step 3. Break the fast on purpose. Your first meal should lead with protein, eggs, chicken, fish, something your body can actually use to rebuild, not a muffin that spikes your blood sugar the moment your insulin finally wakes up. Pair it with something high in fiber and you blunt the spike even further. Step 4. Keep the window consistent. Ghrelin resets on a schedule, and it needs the same schedule every day to actually reset. Skipping breakfast on Tuesday and eating it at 6 a.m. on Wednesday keeps the old alarm clock running. Step 5. Learn to tell the difference between real hunger and habitual hunger. Real hunger builds slowly and doesn't care what time it is. Habitual hunger shows up right on the dot, every single day, at exactly the time you used to eat. Once you can tell them apart, the whole process stops feeling like a fight. A few real caveats before you try this. This isn't for children or teenagers. Their bodies are still building, not repairing. It isn't for anyone pregnant or nursing. If you have a history of disordered eating, skip this one entirely. Restriction framed as optimization can still be restriction, and no metabolic upside is worth reopening that door. And if you're on medication for diabetes or blood pressure, or you're already under heavy stress and sleeping badly, talk to a doctor before you stretch your fasting window, because cortisol from stress and cortisol from fasting stack, and that stack isn't free. If at any point this starts feeling like punishment instead of a routine, that's your signal to stop and eat. We've been taught that skipping breakfast wrecks your metabolism, that it's the most dangerous meal you can miss. But your body was never built to expect fuel the second it wakes up. It was built to run its own maintenance first. Give the graveyard crew the time it's owed, and it will hand you back a clearer head, a steadier appetite, and a body that finally knows when it's actually hungry, instead of just habitually hungry. You're not skipping a meal, you're finally letting the night shift finish the job. If you've tried this, tell me which day broke you, day 3 or day 7. I'll see you in the next video.